a buzz. Usually it's very, very quiet. So I'd like to call to order the Cumberland School Committee on Thursday, October 27th, 2022 at 7 o'clock p.m. If you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Next item on the agenda is approval of agenda. I need a motion to approve. Motion by Mrs. Feather. Second by Ms. Smith. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It passes 5-0. And for the record, Mrs. Rogalski and Mr. Tomatica are not here tonight. The next item on the agenda is student government, the student government activities report.
My name is Matt Fontaine, and I'm the freshman class treasurer.
And I'm Grace Carr, senior member of student government, and we are here on behalf of the student government to update you on what has been taking place at Cumberland High School.
We recently wrapped up our first Spirit Week since 2019 that was not affected by the pandemic, and it was a great success. The after-school events and in-school dress-up days allowed for bonds to form between the grades and classes. The seniors took the win, but all grades put up a strong effort.
In the upcoming weeks, we are transitioning to our holiday events where we will focus on giving back to the community. The annual Fill a Truck Thanksgiving Canned Good Food Drive will be on November 19th at the Seabra Supermarket, and we are asking for your donations the month of November to make sure families in town can enjoy a meal on Thanksgiving. Additionally, on November 1st, Angelo's Restaurant is having a 20% night where 20% of funds are donated back to us to purchase more food. Each year, we continue to collect more donations than the previous, and we hope to continue that success.
Within the school community, we continue to celebrate our hardworking teachers with the weekly distribution of a championship belt. Each week, students vote on a teacher they feel deserves recognition, and they are delivered the belt to wear. So far this year, Mr. McNiff, Mr. Gorman, and Miss Rowe have won the belt.
With that being said, that concludes the latest update from the CHS student government. We are eager to get to work to better both our school and community in the upcoming weeks. Thank you for your time and have a nice evening.
Thank you, Grace and Matt. And congratulations to the belt winners and congratulations to the seniors. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda, approval of minutes from the regular meeting 10/13/2022, approval of minutes from the executive session 9/22/2022, and the executive session 10/13/2022. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion by Mr. Collins. Second by Mr. Fiorello. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It passes 5-0. Next on the agenda is personnel announcements. Mrs. Duncanson.
Good evening. I have 4 announcements tonight, 3 appointments. First, Elise Hickey, ELA Strive, Cumberland High School, 1 year. Courtney Blood, paraprofessional, I AIM at Cumberland Hill. And Nathelia Rivera, paraprofessional, PALS at Community. And 1 resignation, Jennifer Goff, ELA, grade 8 at McCourt. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Duncanson. Next up is report out of executive session meeting on 10/27/2022. Report out of executive session votes. We did not take any votes in executive session. And the next item is a vote to seal the minutes of the executive session. I need a motion to seal the minutes.
Motion to seal.
Motion by Mr. Fiorello. Second by Ms. Smith. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It passes 5-0. The next item on the agenda is superintendent's report. Dr. Thornton.
Madam Chair, good evening. I had Mr. Crowley here with me for the first couple of recognitions. First up, we actually have a state champion in our midst. You might recognize her.
Yeah, you can clap for her, absolutely. This past Sunday at Deerfield Park, the Rhode Island Middle School State Championships were held, and Cecilia Ludwig was the individual state champion with a time of 11 minutes and 10 seconds. Over the 3K course, she beat the next runner by well over 17 seconds, which in a 3K is a long time. So, Cecilia Ludwig, come on up. Congratulations. Coaches, you can come with it. Yeah, Coach Henson, let's go. Come on up. Congrats, Cecilia. Well done. Nice job, Gracie. Thank you. You're welcome. Well, that's yours as well. You ready to speak, Cecilia? You want to say a few words? Wait, Grace, back up. Dr. Thornton, CCO, next coach.
So how's it feel to be a state champion?
Really good.
Good job.
The second year in a row that Cumberland has had a state champion in the middle school races. Last year, Charlie McHugh from North Cumberland, who is now a prominent member of our high school team as well. So it's back-to-back for Cumberland Cross Country. It's a great accomplishment for our middle schools.
Probably we're not done.
No, we are not. In the team title, North Cumberland won the state title. 49 to 88 was, I believe. Hold on, I got it right here. Who they beat? Who was next? They beat Portsmouth Middle School by a score of 40, which is also a large margin in any state meet, especially in cross country, as you know, in a big field. They ran strong, all 7 athletes on the North Cumberland team. Coaches are Coach Hooper and Coach Kuchar. And the athletes, I'm going to call you up one at a time, but you guys can come up together if you want and receive your recognition. And it's not to be sold lightly. I know that Dr. Thornton also mentioned, to Cecilia about how to feel to be a state champion, but team championship is something that's a great accomplishment as well. So, Anna Bianchi, Riley Burke, please stay up here as well. McKenna Marr, Paintner Marr, Melania Rodriguez, Gabriella Studhoff, Carolina Tolado, and coaches Hooper and Kuchar. Come on up. Does anybody want to speak for the group? What's it feel like to be a state champion?
I don't. It feels really good.
Perfect. Well done. Thank you. Also, so we have a few other athletic updates that we'll go through very quickly. There's a lot of our teams heading to postseason play, especially our middle schools are doing very well. Both North Cumberland boys soccer went 11-0, Northern Division champions. They just won their quarterfinal game a few hours ago on the turf. So North Cumberland boys soccer has advanced to the state semifinals. McCourt boys soccer will play in its quarterfinal matches this Saturday at 11 a.m. in Newport against Thompson Middle School. Unfortunately, North Cumberland girls, after winning their preliminary round, lost to Lincoln today 2-0, so their middle school season has ended as well. On the high school level, both boys and girls cross-country squads remain undefeated. The boys' streak is they have not lost a match in 5 years, so their streak is at 60. The girls have a state record of 103 consecutive dual meet victories and climbing again this year. Great job by both those squads. Girls soccer, sure you can clap for them. Grace Carr, who was up here speaking earlier, is also one of our stalwarts, and she's a superstar not only in cross country but state champion in track as well, and a fine, outstanding student. Girls soccer, boys soccer, football, unified volleyball, and field hockey, as we speak, has a playoff game going on right now down at Tucker Field. Unified volleyball has a home game next week. Also, athletic-wise, we recently sent student athletes to Camp Fogarty for the Rhode Island Interscholastic League's Leadership Conference. It was a great thing, and the kids learned the value of leadership, teamwork, and what it means to be a successful leader, and hoping to bring it back to the community. On the horizon tomorrow night, our football game will be televised live on, I believe, MyRI TV. Frank Carpano is going to do the play-by-play, so if you cannot make it to Tucker Field, you can watch it live on television, all the splendor of Friday Night Lights from Tucker. And, of course, on the horizon is the 58th consecutive Thanksgiving Day rivalry game. We played at Barry Field in Woonsocket on Thanksgiving morning at 10 a.m. We have big plans. Winter registrations are open. And other than that, that's it from the athletic department. And I have a special note for all the middle school children from Dr. Thornton and Mrs. Friedman that you can go home because it's a school night.
Thank you, Mr. Crowley. Next up, I'll call Mr. Costa up. We actually have a couple of retirements this evening, and Mr. Costa will say a few words about one of our retirees.
Mrs. Russell, could you come up here, please? On behalf of the high school, we would like to congratulate Mrs. Russell on her retirement. She was a pioneer of the trade program that has been in place for approximately 15 years. During that time, she helped many of our students prepare for and earn jobs throughout the community. She was also instrumental in creating opportunities for her students so they could have the same experiences as their peers. Some of her most memorable experiences was the planned trips to Disney for our special needs populations. We wish her luck as she moves closer to her family in Florida, which I believe they're there waiting for you now. Yeah. Congratulations.
Mrs. Russell, we have one highly sought-after beach bag for you, so we'll now I'll present that bag to you at this time.
There you go. Congratulations.
Oh, absolutely. Please don't go anywhere. And one more time for Mr. Costa. Mr. Costa, we have the Helping Hands Club.
Mrs. Lemieux, if you could join me up here. And any members of Helping Hands, please. Oh, Miss Butler. Recently, I received a letter from the May Foundation here at school. I just wanted to read what they wrote about members of our faculty and our student body. They wrote, "Dear Mr. Costa, it is with great pleasure for the May organization to honor you and faculty members Sarah Bilecki, Julie Butler, and Tammy Lemieux, who have in the past 3 years established a Helping Hands Club at Cumberland High School. The May organization has been fortunate to be the recipient of the faculty and student participation at our weekly food distributions in Pawtucket and Woonsocket, working at our clothing facility and wellness center, and helping at fundraising events. We all know how stressful it can be for the people who find themselves in need of the services provided by the May organization. The words and actions of the students and faculty go a long way towards helping them keep their dignity. The compassion shown by the Helping Hands Club to the people we serve is an inspiration to all of us. At our fundraising gala, we'd like to present you, Sarah Bilecki, Julie Butler, and Tammy Lemieux with the May Community Humanitarian Award and the Helping Hands Club for their dedication and unselfishness. I wanted to give them an opportunity to share some of the things that our students do.
Sorry. So I just wanted to say this is an award that we are named in, but our students come out and help us every Sunday, working with the people who are food insecure and home insecure, gathering and organizing donated clothes, and helping serve food at the site. Helping Hands, we did not create Helping Hands. I think actually Mrs. DeMonica might have created it, or someone before us, but we took it on. We currently have about 45 members of the club. They are required to do 3 hours of community service each month, so that's a lot of hours that we're accruing. They are working here in our elementary schools, volunteering in our elementary schools. We help with community events like the Yellow Bag Day. We help at nursing homes. We do clothing drives and material drives for various agencies. And the best thing about Helping Hands, we just did a pumpkin carving event on Thursday and donated the carved pumpkins to our elementary schools, as well as some of the nursing homes in town. So those kind of things, the outreach is going so far, and we're creating, a lot of young people who have volunteerism in mind, and I think that's the best part about doing this. They're amazing kids. And unfortunately, I didn't give them a huge heads up about today, so that's why they're not here, so it's totally on me.
I would also like to add that the interactions that I see our students have with the homeless people in Woonsocket, it's amazing. And I know that it warms their hearts to have those conversations, because a lot of times what we're told is that they feel invisible. And when our kids are coming and interacting with them and having conversations, the joy that I see from them fills my heart. So it's a wonderful thing.
I just want to acknowledge someone else in the audience. Marie Booten is over there being shy. She is our site supervisor for May organization. She has 2 daughters who attend Cumberland High School as well, and without them, we wouldn't be doing half of what we're doing. So thanks to Marie and Norm. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you all. As always, Madam Chair, we have a construction update for the committee. Once again, we'll do it visually. First, as you heard last time, we do have the new high school heating system online. Anything new does not come without some bumps. In this system, you see a pump here, and those are also new pumps. We have 21 new pumps, and we had to pump 2,000 gallons of glycol into the system. So when we first started, we had some air pockets and some bumps in the road, but the heating system is up and running, and it's modern, and it's really gratifying to see after having endured our older heating system. So that's a good news piece. This is the Ashton roof. If you don't know, we have some leaks in Ashton back to around, say, 2010 construction. And the good news here is we're going to fast track the Ashton roof replacement. It is in the bond, but not slated for a couple years down the road. We're fast tracking it to replace it this summer. Also, we identified 11 leaks we have right now, and we're going to patch those leaks right now as we speak. So that's a good thing we're doing ahead of schedule. And here we have community. That trench represents where the foundation goes. So now they're done the sewer work, and the trench is there for the foundation. Next comes the foundation, so that gets exciting. We start to see the building, taking shape. This is the foundation already poured in at Ashton with some rough plumbing. So they're a little further along. Another view of Ashton. And this, Ms. Malcolm, is on Tuesday, this was the roof of the ceiling in the cafeteria of Cumberland Hill. Since that picture, they're well on their way up to about here with insulation and ceiling tile. Next week is painting week, and they were sanding the stage floor already. Then we scuff and poly the main floor. Our goal date to be eating in there is November 14 on a Monday. So that's the goal. It's all moving along nicely, so we're excited about that. And as always, we have another flu clinic coming up 11/16 at 4 to 7 o'clock at the high school cafeteria. So if you haven't got your flu shot yet, you should get your flu shot. And lastly, I want to bring it to the attention of the committee. We are getting more diverse in Cumberland, and here's one example. We have more multi-language learners. You can see from 2018 up to present day, 137 students, and now we're up into the 220 range. So with this right now, we are actually looking for a 1.0 MLL teacher. If you know anyone, please let us know. We need a new MLL teacher for Cumberland. So, Madam Chair, that is all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Thornton, and congratulations to all of our state champions and to the Helping Hands Club and to our retiree. It looks like next on the agenda under this is the district strategic plan. Mr. Damana.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee. On behalf of the superintendent, my colleagues are joining me this evening, both from the administration, building level, and central office. We are requesting that later on in the agenda under new business that you approve our 3-year strategic plan. It's been a year in the making. And so about a month ago, I had a conversation with Mrs. Friedman about the best way to approach this, and I did present the achievement. At Achievement, I did present the strategic plan there. It is comprehensive. It's about 24 pages or so worth of content. And so it's much too cumbersome to do at a meeting like this. So we chose to put it in the school committee drive. I also provided a summary in the event that everybody's schedules are busy. So sort of a Cliff Note version of this plan. And so I just want to remind everybody that this evening, do you have the clicker, Mike? I'm not going to go over all the slides, but basically I just wanted to take an opportunity to define it. And it's just a series of comprehensive goals and action steps that illustrate what we're trying to accomplish over the next 3 years for the district. And there are 5 major tenets. So when this is posted, once, if you guys approve it, Mike will post it on the website so that parents, new members of the community that may want to choose Cumberland as their district of choice, they can see transparently what we're working on. And so there are 5 tenets: academic goals, financial projections, building construction, wellness and SEL. Building teacher expertise is our last piece of that. Just a little bit more in depth, well, what does that comprise of? Well, there are school improvement plans. There are 2 major components to the strategic plan. Each of our schools came up with their own school improvement plans, which there is legislation around that. And in the event any of you had any questions, if you've looked at that, we had asked the administration and building leadership to be here tonight in the event that you had some questions. There are also district plans and goals, not just from the superintendent and I, but also all members of central office, Katie, Rachel, Mike, Alex. We all have 3-year goals that we have written in. Alex did provide us with, I believe, 5 years worth of financial projections. And also I included in the plan resources for professional development. And I just put an example on there, the buzzword multicultural awareness that we're planning on doing. So rather than going into any more detail and boring everyone, I'll pause there in the event that there are any questions for any of us that you've looked at. And if not, if you come up with questions later on, you're free to call me, email me, have a session with me in my office to go over specific components that you may be interested in learning more about.
Thank you, Mr. Giovanna. Mr. Collins?
Mr. Demond, I just have a quick question. So assuming this passes and it's posted on the website tomorrow morning, if parents or any other stakeholders have a question about the plan specifics, should they contact you directly, building principals? Should they?
If it's school-based, I would say contacting the principals. Since you're obviously representatives of the community, if they email you, you can forward them to me, or parents are free to email me directly as well, and/or the superintendent.
Thank you.
No problem.
I think, Mr. Giovanna, in this slideshow, you might have the summary goals. Yeah, and so I wanted to be sure that anyone watching or really saw this piece of it, that, the commitment to returning to a top 5. If those of us who have been around for a while remember wanting to be in the top 10, and then wanting to be in the top 5, and then this also, aims higher with the top 2, and then has some very specific goals here, top 25% in Rhode Island, but also adding in here, comparing ourselves to like districts in Massachusetts as well.
Correct.
Rhode Island is kind of a small pond. It's good to look outside of that. And these are really, visionary and lofty goals. But if anyone reads the strategic plan, they will see the amount of detail that backs this up. That says, in order to get this, these are all of the things that we will be doing in order to get there. And if anyone has been around long enough, I think, Mr. D'Amato, while you have been in your role, I think people have learned that they can count on you.
I hope so.
And that you don't take lightly to putting goals out there that may not be achievable. That
Correct.
You've got a lot of data to support you up. You've got your team and all of the team across the district, and some very specific things to put in place. There are some challenges, of course, as we look at introducing new curriculum, part of the RIDE mandate and other things that are happening. And also hand in hand with this is the fiscal implications of it all. And I think you also address that in the strategic plan. But we know, and we talk about this with achievement and with Mr. Collins, who's the chair of fiscal, that in order to be able to do what we want to do from an achievement perspective, we need to have the funding and the support, from the financial side of things. And I know there's a lot of good work going on in the district right now, or in the town, I should say, to help make that happen. And I think getting agreement on maybe not agreement, but getting people behind our strategic plan across the town is also what's going to help get us to this place. So there's, I like that we've got some really measurable things in here that we can look at and aim for, and also, with the rest of the supporting resources to help us get there. So I do hope that people will take the time to read the plan. It is dense, I think, as you had said in your own words, but it kind of lays it all out there about what we need to do to get there.
I think it has to be dense and detailed so that people know that we know what we're doing, and everybody's contributing in their own way with their own buildings and their own roles. And yeah, they are lofty. I am concerned, top 2 coming off the pandemic. I'll just end with this. Dr. Thornton and I have gone back and forth, and he's the superintendent, so he won. I think I had it at top 3, and he had me push it. He's walking around saying he wants T-shirts with top, the top district, and certainly we all want that. But I think it's going to take us longer than 3 years to get there, based on where we are. But if we get there sooner, I'll just owe him lunch. I guess that's what we'll be.
Yeah, if you don't aim higher, you'll never get there.
That's right. That's right.
Other comments, questions, Mr. Fiorello?
Mr. Demano, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but
No worries.
with the earlier slide about the multi-language learners increasing every year,
Yes.
what strategies and what resources will the schools need to really address that in a positive way so that we can really close those gaps?
I'm not going to lie, it's challenging. Jillian Belanger, who just joined our team in the summer, she's been doing a really good job of trying to get the landscape of what's happening, and we're trying to adapt to sort of this surge, for lack of a better term. She had a recent meeting with Mr. Costa and members at the high school about their needs. Mrs. Malcolm certainly has contacted me about her surge in her building. Mrs. Coughlin, among others, Sandy LaRiviere as well. And so we're in need of more personnel. The superintendent mentioned that we need an additional 1.0, and that's really being fiscally conservative. You know, if we're going to continue to try and service our students to the best of our ability, it's looking more and more like we're going to have to add resources and provide opportunities for teachers to get certified, current teachers to get certified, so that way we can service our students with the staff that we have as well. You're welcome.
Are there any other comments or questions? I do have one small suggestion.
Go ahead.
In some subsections of the strategic plan, it very clearly says, like, by 2025, we will achieve this, this, and this. I think in the construction section, it was a little more vague. I think it would be good if we could get specific so that when we look back in 2025, we'll go, okay, did we achieve all those things that we wanted to in some of the other areas, like construction?
Yeah, so Megan, I don't know Megan's last name, but Megan put that, I met with her a few times over the past 6 months, and she put that together for us. So I'll speak with Dr. Thornton about reaching out to Megan on those timelines and updating it. It is a fluid document, so if there are any major changes, I would bring it to the committee, but just know that there are going to be things that fluctuate and change in there. Okay?
Okay. All right,
Thank
thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Devana, and thank you, everyone, for all your work. $2025, that's in 3 years? So our term will have expired. Could be, but we might still, some of us still might be here to see it to fruition. Next item on the agenda is reports of standing committees. Item A, Fiscal Management Subcommittee update. Mr. Collins?
That is me, the Fiscal Management Subcommittee, but you caught me mid-conversation with Ms. Smith, so I apologize. The Fiscal Management Subcommittee did meet this evening. We did not have any payment of the bills, but we do have 4 resolutions before the committee later this evening, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Next, Policy and Procedure Subcommittee update. Mr. Fiorello?
Policy and procedures did not meet this week. However, later in the meeting, very close to later in the meeting, we will have the second reading of the F3 Energy Star policy, which had been tabled from about a month ago.
Thank you, Mr. Fiorello. Achievement and Communications Subcommittee also did not meet this week, but I'm working with Mr. Germano. We have a plan for our future topics, so we will get our next meeting scheduled. And the next item is the District Health and Wellness Subcommittee update. Mrs. Rogalski is not here tonight for that update. The next item is public hearing, reading of amended policy F3, Energy Star policy. Mr. Fiorello.
Yes, this is just for the reading, so I would just ask that F3 be read into the record.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fiorello. And then there is a public comment related specifically to this policy. If anyone from the public would like to comment, you can come up to the microphone. Okay, seeing none. Now we will go to the general comments from the public. If there's anyone from the public who would like to speak on any topic, you can come up to the microphone. Okay, seeing none, we will move on to new business. The first item under new business is appointment of new members to the building committee. Dr. Thornton.
Madam Chair, with our construction, we'd like to add 3 members to the committee as we move forward. We'd need them at certain points in time. I'd recommend we add Ms. Carbonic from Ashton, Ms. Carter from Garvin, and Ms. Fawn from Community, knowing that we'll be adding, where's BF, no, where's Sandy will be added the following year. So this year, though, if you could please add those 3 individuals to the building committee.
Okay, Mr. Fiorello.
Does RIDE limit the number of school people? I thought there was some kind of formula for how many school-related people could be on the building committee.
I don't recall. I can check and get back to you.
Mr. Collins?
Does that mean Ms. Malcolm is no longer on the committee?
Well, I really feel, I don't want to take her off. I want her to always be welcome. But yeah, technically, she would be transitioning off.
I tried to, did my best, so.
Yes, she would be transitioning off, but if you want, we can certainly wait till next meeting.
Sure.
Find out about the constitution of the team and get back to you on that.
Mr. Fiorello?
I just want to thank Mrs. Malcolm for all the hard work she's done over the past year on the building committee.
Okay, any other comments about the building committee, adding the new members? Okay, we can move ahead with that. The next item, discussion and/or vote to approve the 2022-2025 district strategic plan. Mr. Damana did present it tonight and has shared it with all of us. So we do, as a school committee, need to approve this plan.
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the strategic plan.
Mr. Collins makes a motion to approve.
I'll make a second for discussion.
Mr. Fiorello makes a second for discussion. Mr. Fiorello.
Actually, I just heard that Ms. Smith wants to say something, so I figured I'd give it to her.
Thank you,
Okay,
Mr.
Ms. Smith.
Fiorello. I just want to bring up the fact that while this is a great plan and we are doing everything we can, we have to be able to pivot and be prepared to pivot should the funding and other things constrain us that will not allow us to reach that goal. And I know it's something that none of us want to see happen, but I just want to make sure that we understand that those chances are there. We can't just change the budget that we're given and say, well, we have to meet them, therefore the money's going there and something else is suffering, so. Which I think is clearly understood by everybody. Just wanted to make sure that the public understands that we're doing everything we can.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. So we have a motion by Mr. Collins and a second by Mr. Fiorello. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It passes 5-0. The next item on the agenda is discussion and/or vote on final action pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 38-2-2, Section 4P, in response to allegations by a former teacher about school culture/treatment of the LGBTQ community. Mr. Adams, our regular counsel, is not here tonight, but he has sent Mr. Grove in his place.
And Mr. Adams is very much here in spirit, and in fact his words as well, so I am going to read them verbatim regarding this report, just to provide some context and information. In or about the middle of June 2022, a former Cumberland teacher communicated to members of the Cumberland School Committee making various allegations about the Cumberland School Department. The former teacher publicly voiced concerns about the department's culture, particularly regarding members of the LGBTQ community. In order to determine whether there's any merit to these allegations, Superintendent Phil Thornton advised the committee that he would retain an independent investigator to evaluate the allegations. Attorney Andrew Hennius of Hennius Carroll Lombardo LLC was retained to conduct the independent investigation. The investigator served only to investigate the allegations and to provide his dispassionate analysis to the superintendent and to the committee. Attorney Hennius interviewed the complainant and 8 other individuals. He reviewed various documents, statutes, regulations, committee policies, and school department handbooks. The investigator provided the committee with an investigatory report concerning his investigation, which the committee reviewed prior to arriving at its final actions. The committee has discussed with legal counsel the investigator's report, its own knowledge relating to the allegations, and with the assistance of legal counsel has prepared a document that reflects its final actions on the subject. The members have this document in their drives, so this evening the committee can vote to approve its final actions as reflected in this document. After that, the document will be signed by the chair. Moreover, under the Rhode Island Access to Public Records Act, the committee's final actions are deemed a public record, so this document can be shared with the public. I hope this helps both the committee and the public understand the process that was undertaken, and I think the matter is ready for a vote to approve the final actions, which I will now read as well in the interest of clarity. Final actions, of which there are 3. The committee directs the department's administration working with the committee to ensure that applicable committee policies require written findings of the outcome, where appropriate, sent to all necessary parties when an allegation of bullying is made under any federal or state law or under school committee policy, for example, under Section 504, the IDEA, Title 6 or Title 9. Final action 2. Based on specific information contained in the investigator's report, the committee directs the department administration to confirm whether any students involved in the alleged bullying incident that forms the basis of allegation number 2 have been provided appropriate supports, which recommendation the committee understands has already been implemented. Final action number 3, the committee directs the department's administration to reduce to writing their findings related to the alleged bullying incident that forms the basis of allegation number 2 and provide those findings to the affected families. And those are the final actions reflected in the report, which again, following a vote adopting those actions, that document will be part of the public record and available. Madam Chair?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Grove.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the final action.
So Mr. Collins makes a motion to approve the final actions. Second by Ms. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It passes 5-0. Thank you, everyone. The next item on the agenda is a vote to approve the electrical service costs as they stand at John J. McLaughlin Cumberland Hill Elementary School.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the electrical service costs as they stand right now.
Mr. Collins makes a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Fiorello. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It passes 5-0. The next item on the agenda is discussion and or vote to approve 2022-2023 school bus routes. Ms. Smith.
Madam Chair, could we table this for the meeting, as the information was just available earlier today, and I'd like to take a little bit more time to review it all.
Dr. Thornton, is there any time
We're fine, Madam Chair.
constraint on this? Okay. All right, so then we can table this item to our next meeting.
I will second.
Ms. Smith makes a motion to table. Mr. Fiorello seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes 5-0. Thank you. Next item, discussion and or vote to approve homeschool instruction requests for the 2022-2023 school year.
Making a motion to approve?
Mr. Collins makes a motion to approve. Second by Mrs. Feather. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It passes 5-0. Next item, discussion and or vote to approve amended policy F3 Energy Star policy. Do you have anything you want to add, Mr. Fiorello?
Do I have anything to add? No, we've talked about this policy in the past. I will make a motion to approve. This is just really, it's just a policy that we are required to have by RIDE for the renovation work, for the reimbursements, just to ensure that any appliances that we buy, and appliance is a very broad term, meet the Energy Star rating system, or are part of the Energy Star rating system. Certain things, I know Mr. DeMonica in the past has voiced concerns about things like space heaters and desktop fans, but space heaters are not allowed in school buildings by fire code, and desktop fans do not use enough electricity to even be considered for the Energy Star program, so they don't even need to be thought of really. But this really just covers all of our bases, so.
Okay,
Make a
so
motion to approve.
Mr. Fiorello makes a motion to approve. second by Mrs. Feather. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda, discussion and/or vote to approve resolutions. Mr. Collins.
I have good news. So, for Mrs. Feather, because the second amendment, the second resolution requires an amendment, and since there's only 3, I'm going to take these in order so I can present the second one as amended, so we're not dealing with procedural stuff. So that being said, first we have SCPR-10-2022-121, a resolution empowering the school committee to approve payment to Weston and Sampson Engineering for an amount of $16,170 for the months of July and September. This passed fiscal management subcommittee 2-0, and I would move passage to the full committee.
Okay, so we're taking these one at a time?
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve by Mr. Collins. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Smith. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Next, we have SCPR-10-2022-122, a resolution empowering the school committee to approve payment to Allberg Construction Company for work performed at Community through September 30th, 2022, in an amount of $650,038. I would ask for an amendment. I'd move to pass an amendment to change. There was language issues on there in the original resolution. The original resolution says for work at Ashton, even though the resolution is for community. So I would motion to make an amendment to make that change, the correction for work at Ashton to for work at community. The amendment passed fiscal subcommittee 2-0, and I would move passage to the full committee, the amendment. The
Okay,
policy.
I think we have to vote on.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
I'll second the amendment.
Second
Okay.
amendment.
Mr. Collins makes a motion to amend this resolution. Mr. Fiorello seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes 5-0.
Now we have SCPR-10-2022-122 as amended, which also passed fiscal management subcommittee 2-0, and I would move passage of the amended resolution to the full committee.
Okay, Mr. Collins makes a motion to approve the amended resolution. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes 5-0.
Next, we have SCPR-10-2022-123, a resolution empowering the school committee to approve payment to Allberg Construction Company for work performed at Ashton through September 30th, 2022, in an amount of $915,135. This passed fiscal management subcommittee 2-0, and I move passage to the full committee.
Mr. Collins makes a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Smith. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That passes 5-0.
And finally, we have SCPR-10-2022-124, a resolution empowering the school committee to approve payment to Toronto Architects for work at various elementary schools for services in the amount of $14,596.50. This also passed fiscal management subcommittee 2-0, and I move passage to the full committee.
Mr. Collins makes a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Feather and Mr. Fiorello. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It passes 5-0.
Our work here is done, so.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
The next item, discussion and a vote to approve payment of bills, but Mr. Collins.
There were no bills presented to the fiscal management subcommittee this evening.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is school committee comments, school liaison reports. Any comments from the school committee? Okay, the next item is vote to go into executive session, but I don't believe we have that tonight, Dr.
We
Burke?
do not.
Okay. Then motion to adjourn by Mr. Fiorello.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Feather. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. We are adjourned at 7:50 PM. Thank you, everyone.